I was 17, 18. Loved my sport, did all sorts of sports, good athlete, good golfer, good footballer. But, I was never on the books of a professional football club. And actually, my sort of ambition was to be an architect. That's sort of the course of action I was sort of pursuing. And I was doing maths, physics, design, A-level. I was struggling with all that. And I think it was, 6 months from the end of that effectively I sort of left school and wondered what was next for me. And my best friend had actually set up a sports shop in a tennis and squash club in North Leeds, which was I'm from Harrogate. So I set this shop up, went into partnership with him. We opened another couple of high-end sort of sports shops on the high streets in and around Leeds. And this was all at the time when I wasn't sure, was this going to be, serious long-term sort of plan? And, it was all going very well for 6 months. And an opportunity came to go for a trial at Leeds United. Eddie Gray was the manager. And so I thought, well, I love sport. You can't pass up that opportunity to go and have a 2-week trial at Leeds United. So I went there and, got an offer to stay there for the rest of that season and the next season. So I thought, actually, look, I can combine the two. Leeds United, working with the shops with my partner, and really enjoyed that sort of experience of playing at Leeds. But I went there as a striker and ended up playing as a defender, and then dropped out of Leeds, but then was picked up by Bristol Rovers and signed my first professional contract at 18, 19. Moved down to Bristol, but still had the interest in the shops. And I think it was only when I got the move to Wimbledon with Bobby Gould before the '88 Cup final. When Wimbledon beat Liverpool, that I got there and I became established in the team and realised that professional football was a career, that I handed over the reins of the business to my partner. But that, I suppose, had really sort of set in motion my interest in the business of sport, being somewhat entrepreneurial, and all those aspects. And I guess, as my career developed with football and Wimbledon and then Liverpool, Tottenham, England and such, I always had an interest in the business of sport. Dealing with Sega, I remember around the FA Cup final and activating some activity around their involvement, to working as a consultant in many ways when I was at Liverpool with Copyright Promotions that were, a big licensing agency, ultimately owned by ISL. And from that, when I moved back to Tottenham, set up an agency when I was still playing, my own licensing and merchandising agency with the former head of sport from Copyright, and we picked up various sports rights, including Juventus Football Club, a couple of Italian clubs, a couple here in the UK, and started developing their licensing program, which, I found fascinating, very interesting, and difficult at the time. I was just coming towards the end of my career. But I suppose when the question you asked was, how did I get into it? Yes, it was a bit of that interest way back from a young age, playing the football and focusing on that, but also having that interest which stimulated me away from the football pitch, and continued that on, I suppose, ultimately when I finished and retired from the game. I had a spell probably back 2001, 2002 when I was just finishing playing, and I think for any player, you wonder what's next. You wonder if you're going to miss the day-to-day sort of involvement with players, with the game itself. I had one or two opportunities in TV to do a documentary on football, so I always remained close to it, plus all the other stuff that I was setting up with the licensing business. But I considered it and considered doing my coaching badges. It then clashed with, I think, some activation around the Champions League with PlayStation, that we were doing a big event in Manchester when the final was there at Old Trafford. I look back and there's always opportunities, doors open, doors close. You've got to make decisions, and I think for me, pretty sure that had I been really committed to wanting to stay in the game and be a coach, I would have pursued that. The fact was that I love the motivation and the stimulation that I got from all the things that I'd done to that point and all the plans I had for the future post-playing career. A network of contacts is crucial to anybody. I'm fortunate that, having played football and having met so many people, I've got a great network, not just in the UK, but, throughout Europe and, other parts of the world. So my work with Juventus Football Club was about developing their brand in Asia specifically. So, around back in 2001, 2002, the World Cup out there. I was dealing with Dentsu, the big agency out in Japan, and Singapore, across Indonesia, the whole of Asia, developing the brand. So great contacts out there. Similar now with sort of this football project that I'm involved with, the sort of heritage of football, sort of a museum project. That's contacts throughout South America, Europe, Asia. So yeah, I've got an extensive network of contacts, and they're absolutely crucial.